Welcome. Hey, this is Block Ops, Roll First Loose. Welcome to the ZenCash bi-weekly update live stream. Today's April 4th, 2018, and we've got a lot of things going on. I'm hosting it here, but the person that's going to be doing most of the talking and bringing in the other guest is Rob Biglione, also known as FinPunk. Rob, all yours.
Thank you, Rolf, and I would say this is a doozy of a bi-weekly update, so thank you guys for joining us. And as usual, we'll do Q&A at the end, where Rolf and I will field the questions to the best of our ability. But there may be some questions you guys have with what we discussed today, so we're happy to stick around and answer them. So, okay, the big picture of what we want to talk about today is the usual structure. So we'll go over some architecture updates, which will be, I think, a really big deal. And then development updates, secure node system, we'll have Alan dive into that. And then we'll discuss some of the R&D projects we have ongoing. In particular, we have some good progress on them. So these aren't just projects for the future pipeline. These are things we're actually working right now and actually have some progress on. And then, of course, we have the marketing update slides. There's a big section there because the marketing activity has really ramped up quite a bit. And then we'll get to the regional activity. So as always, our teams out in the field all over the world are doing great work, and we want to highlight that. So before I even go much further here, I mean, we have our community member highlights as usual, but you guys check out the slide deck this time. I think the team has been ridiculously amping these up in terms of quality. So I remember when Rolf and I were doing these when we first started, there's a huge difference in quality. And I have to just give a huge thank you to, in particular, the marketing team, the designers, for making this happen. It just looks awesome. So the community member highlights we have here, as always, we love to do these, so please contact ZenCheck on Discord and submit nominees for the next bi-weekly. But we have Konstantin here from Russia, who's actually been doing a lot of analysis on helping us try to figure out how we can expand in the market there. And Davit will be giving us the detailed update. We have Stanley from the forums actually been helping out a lot with the website improvements and mock-ups. So thank you very much to Stanley. And Tony actually created an intro video for ZenCash, which is really cool. I think Rosario is going to be covering that in the marketing. So guys, thank you so much for contributing here. And this project really would be nowhere without the community. So these types of highlights are just touching the surface of what the community is really doing for us. So thank you very much. Now, the next really big update. So we have a few big announcements this time, and I have to say that sometimes it's painful to not be able to announce things that we know are in the pipeline. It's super exciting, and we just can't talk about it. In particular, Rowan, who I'll turn this over to in a second, is one of the guys. He heads our business development, and he's constantly working his butt off and making these really big and important partnerships happen. So finally, he can actually talk about one of them. So I'm going to hand it off to Rowan if you're available, if you want to talk about the big Zeta partnership.
Sure, happy to do so. So we said previously that 2018 was going to be the year of radical usability. And we're currently working on a whole host of new wallets to bring ZenCash from the geeks to the masses, which Rob will speak about in a bit more detail later on in this slide deck. But having a user-friendly interface only tackles kind of one side of that challenge. The other side is improving the security without adding any additional complexity. So I'm pretty sure everybody on this call understands that the most secure way to store a private key is to keep it offline. Print it on paper, stamp it into steel, or store it on a kind of dedicated hardware device. But the current crop of devices, although ace for us geeks, aren't really something that you can give to your next door neighbor and expect them to kind of know how to use. So we've been out exploring the marketplace and looking for an organization that's focused on removing that technical barrier to entry whilst maintaining a really high standard of security. So we now have the pleasure of announcing a partnership with Zeta.io. So Zeta is the world's first secure device designed for use with smartphones. It's a small form, rugged, aluminium, cool looking device that you just plug into the base of an Android or iOS smartphone. You download the app and then you use your phone's built-in security, so the fingerprint scanner, to gain access to your keys, which obviously gives you access to your Zen. So we are mega excited to be among the first coins to list on this next generation platform. It is, in my opinion, the first proper design from scratch hardware device that's been designed specifically for the masses, which is a huge deal for us. Pre-orders will open mid-2018 and delivery will be late 2018. And keep tuned for some further announcements about exclusive ZenCash promotions in the coming weeks. And unfortunately, that is all I can talk to you guys about this time around, but keep tuned for the next bi-weekly. We'll have more to announce then. Back to you, Rob.
That's awesome, Rowan. And yeah, so it looks like you're not doing very much, Rowan, I have to say. Just one really big deal this month, but I'm joking. Rowan's actually has some really good stuff in the pipeline that we're working. So this was really good news. And like he said, the ability to store your keys offline is absolutely critical, especially as we scale as a project. You know, we've been such a tight community project for the last year, but we're starting to get a lot more attention out there from people who are actually paying attention. And I think that we're going to be scaling quite a bit. And of course, I'm a little biased, but as we're scaling, we absolutely need these types of devices for people to store decent amounts of Zen on. So the Zeta partnership is a really big deal for us. And like Rowan said, it's just a great company that I think has a really good path to market that we're going to be able to leverage. So the other very nice partnership that we get to announce this bi-weekly is with Blue-Frontiers. So some of you might know that I'm an advisor on the Blue-Frontiers project, which is a commercial offshoot for seasteading. So seasteading.org, I recommend everyone go and check them out. I try to talk about them every chance I get, but what we're doing with creating this sort of virtual nation in the cryptocurrency blockchain world, these guys are doing in real life, but offshore. So what they recognize is there's maybe 200 plus governments in the world that control most of the land mass. And if we want to have a little bit of diversity in governance as a technology where we can experiment a little bit more peacefully, we have to go offshore. It's at least one really wide open frontier that I'm very excited about. So I'm really happy to announce that now Zen is going to be officially partnering and working with Blue-Frontiers. Initially, what we're doing is we're focusing on, the big point of the partnership is to focus on decentralized governance. So we're doing a lot of work with decentralized governance in the blockchain space, in particular for how people peacefully allocate resources and come to consensus in some way where, say we have like a liquid democracy, which we're building here with ZenCash. We're going to be exploring our own governance system with Blue-Frontiers to see if it could be applicable to these seasteads, where you have these offshore startup societies or startup towns or cities that we hope in the future could leverage our technology. Ideally, be able to actually have entire voting mechanisms designed on top of our own blockchain. So this is the vision of where we're going. In the near term, we're just happy to announce that Zen will be available as one of the few coins, or I think one of the 2 coins available to purchase the ICO token, the C coin that Blue-Frontiers is putting out. So we have to say, to caveat this is not an official endorsement to go out and invest in C coin, but it's just really nice that we have common values as organizations, and we're working together on what we hope will be the future of governance, and we can do this jointly. So really happy for this partnership, and you'll be hearing a lot more about it as we go forward. Okay, now let's move on to some other big announcements. So I told you guys this would be a doozy of a bi-weekly update. So we've got 2 really big partnerships in the that we've signed right there. But as far as our own system goes, we have some really important updates. So this is the big announcement: is we're releasing a white paper next week called Zen Application Platform, Tiered Node System and Sidechains to Decentralize the Network. So the really big deal about this white paper is that we're migrating from a cryptocurrency concept to a platform concept. And this is where we're introducing a new node class or new node tier called super nodes. So we have our secure nodes, which we compensate, and now we're going to have a new class of nodes called super nodes. And I'll talk a little bit more detail about what that means. But additionally, what we're doing is introducing side chaining that the supernodes will be running. And on the side chains, now we're going to be hosting a whole bunch of services. The first service, which justified, or it was the motivation for creating these supernodes, was actually to migrate the logic for the secure node tracking and payment system off-chain to on-chain. Yeah, so this is a really big deal for how we're moving forward with the architecture for our system to make it more censorship resistant. So the big motivation here, our big drive, is to create the world's most censorship resistant, privacy-oriented platform with a whole suite of services to support this and benefit the community. One of the services that is top of our queue to deploy to the sidechain system is something called Zen Grid. So Zen Grid is the realization that already we have over 8,500 secure nodes registered in our system, and I suspect this will grow quite a bit in the near future with some other news that I'll share. But what we realized is with this many machines around the world on our network, we need to start using them and be a lot more efficient and productive with our network. Rather than just processing transactions on the network, we can start doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So with 8,500 machines, we know that we have a whole bunch of storage capacity. With 8,500 machines, we know that we have a whole bunch of computational capacity. So Zen Grid is our first effort to now start leveraging this massive computational network that we have and offering an ability for our node operators to rent out their processing capability and earn income by doing that. So this is a nice, really symbiotic function that we're adding to our system where other external users will be able to rent computation from our network. And there's a whole bunch of really important organizations out there, say like the SETI research, the Search for Extraterrestrials in Space, is they're constantly leveraging volunteer networks around the world. And that's just one example, but there's plenty of other business examples where enterprises need to rent computation to do scientific research or to do some sort of other R&D. So now we want to offer our network as one of these potential service providers. In particular, we think at really low cost because we already have this computation available on the network. And Zen Grid would be an opportunity for both the network to benefit as an ecosystem through a fee structure, but then also for the node operators to have an additional source of income in addition to the block reward split that we currently offer. Okay, and the side chaining system now opens up our system to a platform development. And a few things that we have in the pipeline. Now, what we're saying is this is purely setting the stage for a whole bunch of applications that we're interested in. So I don't want to be overly optimistic here and start shilling that we're going to be deploying these new functions, new apps to market immediately. That's absolutely not the case. And Rolf made a great point earlier that we need to caveat all of this, that this is a multi-year development path that we're unleashing right now. Okay, so some other things that in the future we're interested in are something like an instant transactions mechanism, like Instant Zen, which we could do with our sidechaining solution, and then potentially as well our own decentralized exchange, our own DEX. So these are some really interesting potential applications that we're looking at in the future. So what do we mean by a multi-tiered node system? So we're going to have anyone can run a full node. We have that is not a secure node. We have secure nodes that are actually compensated and have hardware requirements, which I think, number one, makes our machine network a much higher quality than other potential node networks and other cryptocurrencies, because we actually have minimum standards for machines that join our network. And now we're going to have super nodes that offer sidechaining. So this is designed to significantly decentralize our network with, again, that'll be more evident when I talk about the compensation structure. We want to do things like zero delay payments. Actually, motivation here is from Dash, which I think they do an awesome job in a bunch of dimensions. So we learn from the other guys in the market who are doing things really well. And the big motivation here is we want to move all of the tracking and the payment logic on chain, because we don't want discrete server clusters that could be taken down, either from malicious actors like hackers or from malicious actors like bad governments that are trying to actively interfere with our network because maybe we're offering some services to their people in their countries that they want to restrict them from, right? So we want everything to be on-chain so that it can be truly censorship resistant. But now it opens the door for these distributed applications that we'll build on the system. So the details, or at least some of the details here, is so supernodes here. Maybe we'll start with secure nodes. So we have this graphic in slide 9, or this table that shows side-by-side comparison, but they'll both require static IP addresses. Now for secure nodes, you could have a powerful single core or dual core that runs them, 4 gigs on RAM, 20 gigs on storage, staking of 42 Zen, or with a reward pool originally of 3.5 Zen, or I'm sorry, 3.5% of the Zen block rewards. Now, this is where we're officially announcing we're increasing this from 3.5% to 10%, purely for secure nodes. Now let's go over to the super nodes. Same static IP address. This will require a multi-core CPU. Now the hardware requirements are still TBD exactly. 8 gigs plus on the RAM, 100 plus gigs on storage, because these will be the machines that will be hosting or working a lot of the load for things like ZenPub, our distributed file storage system. But importantly, we're going to require a 500 Zen stake to run a super node. Okay, and these nodes will also qualify for their own dedicated reward pool of 10%. So we're going from a total reward pool for secure nodes of 3.5% to now a total reward pool for node operators of 20%. And that will be split between 10% on secure nodes and 10% on super nodes. Okay, so that's going to be a really big change to our system. And so what does this mean for block reward adjustments? So we're also prepping for our own treasury voting system. And the cool thing about our treasury and voting system is that to overcome voter apathy, we're going to be paying voters to vote, right? So you stake some Zen to vote, and you get a reward for doing so, because we want to provide positive incentives to be a good steward of the ecosystem, to be a good citizen of our virtual nation, right? So to prep for this, we're going from a treasury of 8.5% to now a treasury of 10%. So this extra 1.5% will be a buffer for paying out voters. Okay, and the details of the reward mechanism to voters will be released with more details of the actual voting system. This in prototype mode with IOHK right now. Miners now are going from going from a total of 88% of block rewards down to 70%. Okay, and that extra 18% there is being split between now the secure nodes and super nodes are going up to 10% each. And then the treasury is going from, like I said, 8.5% to 10%. So that's the new structure that we have here. And I think that the important thing to note here is this structure does a much better job aligning the relative value of stakeholders. Maybe relative value isn't the right word, but at least stepping closer to the direction of recognizing the fact that the node operators are an extremely important stakeholder group in our network. And especially as we introduce this new class of node operators called supernodes, this is a recognition that supernodes are an extremely important part of our network, particularly because they'll be hosting side chains and a whole bunch of extremely valuable services on our platform. And secure node operators are extremely valuable as well. So the 3.5% payoff to secure node operators, I don't think really made sense. But like the conservative people that we are, we'd like to start small. And then when we see something working really well, then we expand on it. And what we realized was the secure node system was working really well. And it was incredibly popular. And within the first few months, we were able to take it from 0 secure nodes all the way to 80 secure nodes with just a 3.5% block reward. But now, because we want to be the most decentralized network in the cryptocurrency space, we recognize that we have to increase the block rewards. And because we're asking our node operators to do a lot more work in the future, we're recognizing that by increasing the compensation now. Okay, so that's what we have on the big architectural changes to our system, which we'll see how they play out, but I'm extremely optimistic for this. And I think that this opens up the system to our original vision. Was we started off with our single most important product, our single most important application being our cryptocurrency. And then we started building out these other things and started designing specs for them. But now we're officially migrating over to the longer term vision, which is we want to build a whole platform, a whole ecosystem of symbiotic products to basically liberate the world and empower individuals. So going along to the path for how we feel about our users and how we feel about the individuals who are part of our community is we're also announcing now the third or fourth major announcement that we have here is officially we're announcing ZenHelp. So ZenHelp is our own dedicated, the first cryptocurrency support system with actual human beings in the loop. So this goes to our recognition that we value and we respect our community members and our users, right? We treat them like valued customers, and you can't do that. You pay lip service to it unless you actually start putting some dedicated resources into it. And we have an amazing team led by Gustavo, and we've got Mac, we've got Spencer, we've got Nathan, we've got Cyrex, and a bunch of other people. Now we have Forrest, who's just joined our team as an advisor, from the huge experience in customer support, where we're dedicating some serious resources to making sure that our community members have all of the help that they possibly need, or that we can at least feasibly provide. So it starts with a system that offers a trouble ticketing system. So if you have an issue with, say, a wallet, say you have an issue with a secure node not registering as being up when you know it's up, it's registering down for some reason, you start off with a ticket. You start with a ticket, it routes immediately to a relevant team member. And we have 24/7 support here because we have team members from all over the world in different time zones to cover the globe. So it's really cool. And the most frequently occurring or reoccurring issues, in fact, Spencer mentioned this to me earlier, that we have just a lot of people with issues with wallet backups and not properly backing up their wallets. This is a really big problem. It sounds maybe simple to people who have been around cryptocurrency for a while, but you shouldn't have to understand asymmetric cryptography or be an IT wizard to be able to use our products. If that's the case, we've failed. So now, as we're migrating to more of a usable system, we need to make sure that all of our products are designed from scratch to be, optimally usable for the new user, someone new to the space. So what we're doing is, because we recognize there's so many issues, related to a simple thing like wallet backups, this is feeding to a knowledge base so that we document best practices that are responsive and actually informed by our ticketing system. Then we develop a whole series of tutorial videos and tutorial blog posts, for instance, that now get stored into our knowledge base. In particular, Spencer has been extremely helpful, just putting in a ton of overtime to really kick off the system. And the guys who have been doing this are just absolutely incredible, passionate individuals who really want to help out the community. So this is something I'm extremely proud of. And the fact is that there's a lot of really high profit organizations in this industry, in particular exchanges, that don't do customer service anywhere near the level that they should. And this is, to be fair, an issue with scaling so rapidly. So what we're doing now is we're setting the stage and the foundation so that as we scale, we're ready and we do things right from the start. So this is a ticketing system on it's an Atlassian open source license that we have running it over with Jira, and we have a dedicated team here. So guys, any issues that you have, please don't be bashful. Like, we need to stress test the system, and please support it. And any issues that you have, funnel it through us, because we need to know about these issues so that we can improve our products.
Yes, Rolf. Quick question. Just seeing some folks very excited about the update with secure nodes and super nodes and putting the DAO in place. Looking for some kind of estimate on the time frame that we're going to make the changes to the reward payments and put in place the payments for the super nodes. You may be coming to that later on in the presentation, but there's some questions about that if you wanted to address it.
Yeah, sure. No, but you're right. It is. Part of the answer there is in the future slide, but the answer is we have a new core update that we're putting to public testnet next week. In the core update, we're actually going to have the block reward changes made. So we're going to run this core update with the new block reward payouts on testnet for about a month, and then we're going to release this to mainnet. And as soon as this gets released to mainnet, so that's going to be we're targeting end of May, will be a mandatory upgrade. It'll be a hard fork, so we're giving it ample time here. We have about 6 weeks, 7 weeks or so. So we'll be making this official announcement and kicking our ops team into high gear next week to start informing all of the major stakeholders in the community that they need to upgrade their software by the end of May. And it'll be the end of May, so basically the start of June, where we'll actually have now the block reward structure in place. Now, what we're thinking is, and this will be announced in our white paper, the actual details of how we're going to start early payments to future supernode operators, because the supernode software system is not ready and won't be ready until even prototype until Q3, and we're looking to go production mode for the software in Q4. So, but what we want though is we want a smooth transition. So we don't want an abrupt, okay, flip a switch in Q4, now all of a sudden we have a big rush to soak up a bunch of stake and then set up these supernodes. What we want is a smooth transition. So we're going to have a mechanism designed where they'll actually be part of the rewards up front, just for setting up and pre-registering as a supernode operator and staking your Zen. And then once we actually go live in production, the remainder of that reward will be distributed in a way that we'll detail in the white paper next week. So yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so moving on to we have 4 here, so as if that's not enough updates for you guys. So the first development slide is we have a new core update already on our GitHub. So this is hot news. Everyone needs to upgrade to Zen 2.0.11. This is for every user. Okay, so for secure node and also for secure node operators, right? You have to upgrade your software, and the upgrade is mandatory by block 290,076. And just for quick reference, we're almost at block 285,000 right now. So this is, I have to do my math, but block every 2.5 minutes on average. We're coming up to this soon. So it's sooner than later. If you're listening to this now, go ahead and update your Zen core. Okay, so there's a variety of ways to do that depending on which wallet or which type of node you're running. So check it out on our GitHub and our website. And the secure node tracker system is version 0.2.1. And we'll talk about that in more detail shortly. So dev slide 2 of 4. So we've got this core development in progress, which I mentioned is going to test it next week. And this includes some testing updates to Hard Fork Manager. So this is a big deal because it's actually going to professionalize our hard forking process in the future. So this is kind of the theme of what we have now that we've matured our development team to the point where we have some really amazing professionals on the team. Is we're now professionalizing our code base itself. So it may not look like much when you're just on the outside if you're not diving into the code, but the code releases is going to be a big improvement just from a structural level. And this will be, like I said before, we're moving this to testnet next week publicly. It's on our DevNet right now, which is our internal version of testnet. And then you'll be able to see this and look at it and play with it and try to break it next week. We have our wallet updates. We have a wallet update project that's in work. We've mentioned in previous updates. So currently we're executing sprint number 4 of 6. Each sprint takes about 2 weeks, and you've got a little bit of a wallet demo, our wallet mock-up here on the right. And our secure node system version 2, the design spec, actually, this is part of the white paper that will be released next week, which introduces our sidechaining solution, as I mentioned, migrating all the logic on chain, and to really flush this stuff out, Rolf is organizing a developer meeting working group in the near future for our team. And development slide 3 of 4. So this is where, Jake, if you're available, chime in on the ledger, because we have some really good news here. Basically, the code's ready. It's pushed to the Ledger team, and we're waiting for a merge for their next firmware release. But we had some issues going through it, and it's been quite a process. So the team did a great job on it. And Jake, if you're available, why don't you chime in for a minute or two and just kind of explain how the process went?
Yeah, sure. So I've actually got even less time than I thought I would, so I'm really just going to blow through it. But the quick points are that our pull request to the wallet has actually been merged into their develop branch, and our pull request to their firmware has actually been approved. So all they have to do now is deploy it. It's the only step left, is for them to just go for it and make it live for everyone.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. That's, again, when we mentioned earlier what we mentioned about how hardware devices are just an extremely critical component of our ecosystem, it's absolutely true. And Ledger is now the first one that we're on. So we have Zeta coming up in the pipeline with our partnership, but Ledger's done. The code's done. And for a technically savvy user, they could actually get a Ledger device right now and manually put the software on there. But if you want to purchase this with the firmware available, then we have to wait for the next firmware release by Ledger. Okay, so the other point here was ZenHelp. The beta is up and running. We already mentioned that. The wiki for it's actually live, which is great news. Now, the other thing going towards usability, because Operation Radical Usability was a big part of our mandate, the 3-point mandate that we have for 2018. Getting Zen actually useful or used on the marketplace is a really big deal. And we have some very interesting partnerships in the pipeline that we're trying to work out for the community that will go towards this mandate. But the one that we're working right now actively, which is almost done, is integrating into OpenBazaar, which is like a peer-to-peer version of eBay, which I highly recommend everyone check out. The code's done, it's in review, and we're just currently working with OpenBazaar to see when we could actually merge the code into their system. So stay tuned, and I look forward to finally announcing that this is done and complete, and now you can get onto OpenBazaar and actually use Zen. And we're continuing with our mining software rewrite here. So this was kind of our version of giving back to the community, was that we're trying to optimize the the primary mining pool software that people that mine Zen, they mine Z Classic, they mine these other kind of zero knowledge class coins that they've been using. So this isn't something that just affects Zen in particular, but it's more of a kind of a community, give back to the community thing. And our team's working on that as well. We'll have some announcements in the near future. And Team Lucas actually has been just on a tear upgrading the Horizen wallet, which I think is one of our most popular wallets, and they've been doing a great job. So Horizen version 1.1.5 has been released, and it's actually prepping to support domain fronting. So once we actually get the domain fronting application done with our other internal engineering team, the Horizen wallet will be the first wallet, I think, that will actually support that directly. So that's really good news. Team Lucas is adding, shielded transaction or Z address support into the wallet, which is scheduled for the next version release, version 6. And this is planned for just secure node operators only.
Hey, Rob, quick roadmap. Quick interruption here on the Horizen. So actually, Lucas and his team did a domain fronting development that the Horizen wallet points to some servers that are actually ready to do domain fronting. So I'm pretty sure it actually works. It's not waiting on anything else. And domain fronting, of course, is where we encapsulate all the Zen node transactions in what looks like web browser transactions. So it's possible to encapsulate those and access those. I think it does work a little bit slower than regular transactions, just because of all the encapsulation. But I encourage everybody to give it a try. So sorry for the interruption, but.
No, that's awesome. That's really good news, actually. So that's something I need to try myself. And then also, Lucas already published on GitHub the entire roadmap for 2018 for Horizen. So please, guys, check that out. It's a great project, and they're doing good work. And actually, one of our new guys, Vitalik, has been working with them on UX and UI redesign, which is in progress. So that's all good news from these guys. So migrating over to the next slide here, we have our secure node updates. So Alan, are you available to the usual update?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome.
With the help desk, we've been getting tickets in, and from those tickets, we've been discovering different issues with the secure nodes, and those have been helping us refine the connections, refine different bugs that are popping up in there, and just going through and making sure that everything is working properly. So we've been doing updates. We are getting ready to deploy some new servers to each of the regions. So we'll have 3 sets of servers for the tracking system and redistribute the nodes across those servers. Those are in the configuration phase, and we're looking at the deployment probably within the next week, if not sooner. Also, as Rob said before, the secure node tracking software also needs to be up to the 0.2.1. There aren't too many of those left out. A lot of them just seem to be nodes that were probably set up at one time and then just either left or forgotten. But if you're a node operator, please go and double check your secure node tracking system. You may not have been actually accumulating earnings for some time now. Also, the claims for the early beta period where we had phantom downtimes must be submitted by April 10th. We're going to close down any of those old claims so we don't have that liability going forward in the future. And we're still pushing strong, 8,500 nodes, keep growing. And with the announcements, it looks like I'm going to be a bit busier, probably bringing some more servers up. The announcement for the 10% to the nodes. Back to you, Rob.
Awesome, thanks, Alan. And yes, I imagine you will be quite a bit busier in the near future. Not that you haven't been busy already, so that's all good news. Thank you.
All very exciting.
Yeah, it really is. So moving along to our R&D update. So you guys know we have some really big R&D projects in the pipeline. We're working with IOHK, and also our own internal engineering team has been doing some of them. And right now that we have Alberto on board as our official software manager, he's actually been kind of rearranging our internal processes and organizing our team and prioritizing projects and actually working with our external R&D partners. So Alberto actually went out to Kyiv, Ukraine, I think a few weeks ago, and he worked with both the IOHK team and another team, Infopulse, one of our other software partners, where they looked at bringing the theory to reality. So this project, the Treasury voting system, started off as a theoretical paper, just kind of specifying a voting mechanism and some clever ways using snarks and using incentive schemes to, improve voting systems. But now we actually have a prototype that's in testing and being tested or stress tested under different loads of voters. So going from 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000 prospective voters, all trying to make votes on theoretical proposals on the system, seeing how this works out. So we have a whole bunch of following discussions. Alberto has been working closely with both of those teams. And actually, I think this is a really innovative way of doing R&D in this industry. Is we have a collaborative group, kind of a multidisciplinary collaborative group of scientists, engineers working together to do something that will be production level deployment. The scaling protocol research is currently under simulation where, it started up. This is our potential block DAG solution using, one of these block DAG protocols. So we have, like I said, or I've been saying recently, we have two protocols that we were choosing from, one called Spectre, the other called Phantom. And it looks like the Phantom protocol would be much better suited to what we want to do, particularly because we're migrating towards a platform where in the future we want to increase the types of functions within our protocol to do different things. And the Phantom protocol is a nice mix of transaction throughput with the ability to, in the future, deploy stuff like smart contracts. So that's very interesting stuff that the team's doing right now. It's still in the base science mode, so we're not moving out to the engineering team yet, but we have our engineering team remaining cognizant and participating in the preliminary work. Now, the ZenHide application, Rolf touched on this previously. I didn't realize, I thought the Horizen wallet would actually have a dependency on our own ZenHide app, but apparently it doesn't. It's its own standalone solution, which is great. But the in-house team that we have is currently looking at our own domain fronting application, which is currently in design phase. And we have a white paper that's about 90% complete. We need to flesh out, and we'll be releasing its own dedicated white paper in the near future.
Yeah, Rob, and I can explain that a little more. Rob, I can talk through that a little bit more. Yeah, so the nice thing about the Horizen wallet is it's a lightweight wallet, and it sends information to servers that then send information back to the Horizen wallet. So there's already a separation. There's already a couple of applications between the ZenNode software. So the ZenNode software goes to the Insight, which then goes to the Horizen wallet. That's why it's able to be lightweight. So by taking the domain fronting encapsulation and putting it between the Insight server and the Horizen wallet, the Horizen team's already been able to get a version of domain fronting working. With the full node wallet, and like the Swing wallet, which is a Java layer on top of a full node, in order to enable domain fronting in that, on the wallet side of things, we actually have to put it into the ZenNode code or have something that adds on to the Swing wallet that addresses a side application running next to the Zen node. So that's, again, why we have the secure nodes, is the secure nodes secure the Zen system. So if we're able to do this other design for ZenHide, we would probably be asking secure node operators to be running this small encapsulation application alongside, so that any of the public certificates that are used on secure nodes in the future, you'd be able to run the system pointing to those. So it's a multi-stage process, but there's many different ways to implement it. So I just wanted to give a little bit of depth to that.
Cool, thank you, Ralph. And the last bullet here is on ZenPub, which is our distributed file storage application, which is still currently in the design phase. So that work continues with Alberto leading it. So that's what we have on the big architectural development and R&D updates. So why don't we migrate over to Rosario on the marketing side?
Hey, Rob, those were, and Ralph, amazing updates. So I'm not biased at all, but those were cool. So currently from the side, where our growth through blogs, interesting content, and trying to humanize the technology. So all these amazing things that we're doing and making them more relatable, how it's going to impact, have an impact on society, and in doing that. So we've had an increase of content in blogs to provide our community with insight of our activities. So check those out and give us feedback if you'd like them, don't like them. Refining our social media strategy is to have content that is engaging. An example of this is for the Treasury and voting model update that we released just recently. We had a survey that users were able to type in what they thought about our Treasury and voting system. So we found out that Zen is slightly better than pizza. I love pizza, so this is great to hear. We also had a bit of Fool's Day joke. So and we observed high spikes during this day. So this tells us that our users are enjoying this type of content. So we're going to be mixing some of that where it's business updates, of course, but we'll incorporate some lighter, fun content as well. And for the upcoming weeks, we have 3 major campaigns that we're going to be working on, and you'll see those on social media, of course. So Super Nodes, which was announced here today, and ZenHelp, which is our title for that is Anytime, Anywhere. So you'll see a lot of that. And Zeta, so very happy to can't wait to get my hands on these as well. We have a poll going on Twitter, so please make sure that you tell us what you'd like to see. If one of the options is not there, just add that to the comment section. And I'll say this again, please retweet and share our content. This is our organic way of growing, so we need help from our community to do this. As part of that community growth and grassroots efforts, we've been reaching out, and YouTubers have reached out to us. So over the last month alone, with this campaign, we've had 59,000 views on these external YouTuber sites. And this is important for many reasons. One of them is that the content remains there, and people that do searches and learn more about ZenCash, or even new users. So somebody that had not learned about ZenCash. So these will continue and will be a focus for us. From the press release perspective, and this is our interface with formal journalists, we've had several articles picked up over the last quarter, of course, but the ones that you see here are from Block Tribune and CryptoComs are from the last 2 weeks. Today, we actually had the press release for ZenHelp, and we've already had one news source pick that up with chimpin.com. So check those out on social media and share those with your friends. Next slide, please. All right, so from the analytics perspective, we're looking at these to assess our own performance. So this helps us understand where we need to pivot when we need to do, or what we're doing right or what we're doing wrong, and trying to match the numbers with what's going on out there. So I'm really happy with our first quarter performance. As you can see here on the left-hand side of the screen with our total reach, this is a the total number of people we can reach across our different channels on social media. And this does not include website or blog. And so consider this our total potential prospects count on social media and email. And as you can see, there's been a tremendous increase from January. And this will only continue, hopefully, to increase as we refine our content to match what's going on in the crypto world. Also, I do want to point out with our newsletter subscription, we've consistently been above the average industry open rate, which is amazing. So this tells me that the content of our newsletter is good content and people look forward to reviewing those. And currently, our CMH partners put those together. So that's awesome. Really happy to see these numbers here. On the right-hand side, we have numbers for our website and blog. And the metrics that I included here today are page view per session, bounce rate, and exit rate. So the page view per session has been steadily increasing. Both bounce rate and exit rates have steadily decreased. All of this indicates that visitors are spending more time and viewing more content on our website and blog. And also, this can indicate as well that there's an increase in quality of the content being published and overall improvements from our website. So this is all great news, and it validates the efforts that we've been doing over the last few months. Next slide, please. All right, this is my last slide for marketing for social media. I just wanted to present this from to allow our users and community members to look at the stats. So, and given in perspective of our social media level engagement, and of course through relatable, comparable, and translatable figures. So from Twitter, most of our tweets, we do pay notice of the performance of each tweet and try to focus on doing more of those. Again, we have a poll going on, so don't forget to give us your inputs on what you like, don't like, and want to see in the future for Twitter. Facebook has seen our biggest increase in followers over the last month or so. So again, videos are something good, so we're focusing more on videos for that. And then for YouTube, of course, these bi-weeklies are our highest viewed and very popular. So happy to see those because it's a lot of fun to put these together. So again, don't forget to like and share our post and help us grow. Do you like our bunny here, Rob?
Of course, how could I not?
Yeah.
It's a pretty.
All right, that's all from me.
All right, thanks, Rosaria. Okay, so moving along to our country lead updates. I love the slogan here: "We are global, we are local." That's exactly right. So the first one we have is with the German and Central European market. Arno, I don't believe is available. Jonas, are you available to give the update? All right. Well, I will take that. Jonas, if you get your mic working, feel free to chime in. But so there've been a bunch of website translations. So German one's 98% complete. French is ongoing, 70%, and Dutch just started. And testing some merchandise, a new merchandise producer. Sorry, just got a little distracted. And see, Jonas and Woki, actually from Team Lucas working on Horizen, are on the way to the crypto conference in Berlin, actually. So check out the ZenCash, which is ZenCash Germany on Twitter for updates on the conference in Berlin. And Dominic is collaborating with Altcoin team and joining them in an Invest exhibition in Stuttgart. So we have some action going on there. And moving along, I believe Alex is available to give the Russian Eastern European market update because Davit is unavailable today. Alex, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, sure. Actually, yes. Davit came back. Surprisingly.
Actually, I'm available. I don't know.
Okay.
What the rumor
there you go.
But no worries. That rumor gave me a great idea of continue decentralizing ourselves in every regard, including these, speaking at the community meetings. So as part of the decentralization, I'd like to kind of mix up, and sometimes it'll be me, sometimes it'll be Alex. And as a matter of fact, it happens so that a lot of items that we have to cover, Alex actually spearheaded those, and he did a lot of that. So I'll gladly delegate him to speak now. So go, even though I'm right here and listening, and can chime in if necessary. Go ahead, Alex.
Okay, thanks. So, first and foremost, the translation. It's a big thing. You'll see all the team leads do from different countries. So we're translating the website, and the Russian translation is basically ready. What we're doing right now is running it through Russian community, because we're very picky to make sure that everyone's okay with the translation, and we're giving suggestions. And once that's complete, we'll probably publish a Russian translation version. So the first great thing which happened is I've secured an interview with Plus One Radio, and that's the first 24/7 Russian crypto radio. You'd be surprised that you are able to make a radio which is solely about cryptocurrencies, but we did, and it's made really professional. And honestly, I was surprised by how good of a quality it is. And where I'll be speaking is basically a small segment of 30-minute length about education in terms of blockchain. So we'll be covering some basic stuff. And hopefully we'll continue our relationship with this radio and somehow partner along farther down the line. So the next thing is, Rob mentioned our community member, Konstantin, who helped us a great deal. And actually, Legion Box is his result. He contacted lots of VPS providers, and actually not only Legion Box, but more has agreed to integrate ZenCash. And in order to do that, we're continuing with our integration path. We're making an easy plugins to accept Zen. So previously we made WooCommerce plugin, and this time we're making WageMCS plugin, which is basically used by IT providers, VPS providers, VPN providers, and stuff like that. And the last is the video, and that's actually what Davit did. So maybe you want to talk about that?
Picture is worth 1,000 words, and video is worth 1,000 pictures, depending on the frame rate. So I think at some point Rosario will publish the videos, and you guys will see it. Hopefully people will like it. So great job. Thanks, Rob. And I guess next one.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. And thanks for the appearance, David. So let's see. Let's move on to the next one is the Italian market. Mr. Luca, are you available for your update?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody from the country of pizza and Lamborghini. So actually, I want to start from the Emirates today because we have got. I had the chance to spend about 10 days in Dubai. Dubai wants to be by 2020 the world first blockchain city. There is this project carried on by Smart2Buy to basically have all the visa applications, bill payments, license renewals to be improved thanks to the blockchain technology. So I had the chance of meeting some local potential partners and to attend an event hosted by Smart2Buy, which has really the goal of looking for a smarter adoption of the blockchain. Hopefully, it will be useful also for Zen in order to have some local potential partners. So something that definitely we want to be there. We want to continue growing in the future. Then speaking about the Italian market, the Italian translation of the website is almost done. It will be live hopefully very soon. We are carrying on also with the meetups, local meetups, plus I'm bringing on the Zen Valley project. If you remember from last bi-weekly presentation, we are getting inspired by the local Bitcoin Valley in Italy, northeast of Italy. we'd like to have something similar in Northwest. I found what I think it's a good place. It has the shape of a triangle, and it's in the middle of a bigger triangle made with the cities of Milan, Turin, and Genova. Basically, in this area, we want to have merchants and shops being accepting Zen as a way of payment, as a payment method, basically. So I started spreading the word, and I did that. I already began that with the freelancers, starting from freelancers and private owners, because I think it's a quick way. It's actually a way to have some quick wins. Involving them is, of course, very easy. On the other hand, in parallel, I'm producing marketing collaterals and marketing materials to be spread all over the merchants in the area. Finally, we've got already one person that was excited to join the project. It's actually a house owner, and he had in mind of renting his house on Airbnb. He completely changed his mind when he knew about this project, and so basically he will actually have a website with the ZenCash payment method integration, and you will be able to spend some nights like if you were renting the house on Airbnb, but you will actually rent it on this website using your own Zen. So if you are willing to spend some days in Italy or even your vacation, this should be live in a matter of 1 or 2 months maximum. Of course, we will be spreading the link of these and all the other merchants and privates that will join our valley. Thank you, Rob. This is all.
Amazing work from the land of pizza and Lamborghinis, Luca. I can't wait to rent that house myself. So
cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So moving along to the Japanese market update. So Taiga and Sebastian have been working on translations and actually scheduled 2 meetups. So the first one will be in the city of Nagano on the 13th, and then a big one in Tokyo, which if you're in Tokyo or anywhere nearby, please check out the meetup.com link here that we have published and join the crew. And since secure nodes are such a big part of our system, these guys are working on a new secure node setup guide available in Japanese soon. So moving along to the Korean market. So Jonghun has been leading the charge in Korea. So Jonghun, I don't know if you want to chime in here yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Sounds great, yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonghun, and this is first time with you guys in bi-weekly occurs, and I'm glad to talk to everyone. And here is some things that are going on in Korea. First of all, the Korean translation of the website and secure node related things and others are completed, and others are being translated. Second is Zen in Univ is under planning. This is for students who will be responsible for the future. It is a promotion that selects and supports a blockchain-related club or representative club in each university. And currently accepting applications from clubs for Facebook advertising. I am attending many conferences and also attending regular meetings related blockchain. There are people who have various jobs in this meeting. It is a group that studies the blockchain and discusses with various viewpoints, and created an offshore account of ZenCash Korea using the platform that Koreans use most. Planning a meeting with Korean community members of ZenCash maybe in this month. Thank you, and I will always do my best in Korea.
Thank you so much, Jonghun. It's great to actually get you on the calls here. So you guys are doing great. I love the personal meetups that you do there in the discussion groups that you've been forming. So that's really good for the project. Thank you. And moving along to Lucy, would you like to give the China market update?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Can you hear me okay?
Sounds great.
Okay, great. So, hi everyone, I'm Lucy. I'm with the marketing division. So I'm on the China market. So our Chinese market reach is continue to expand, and our Chinese community is also growing and very active. It's very important for us that we connect and engage with our international communities across the globe. And our goal is to do that successfully with a customized approach. So we have been working really hard to achieve that goal by doing things like adapting our social strategies, translating across multiple languages, and establishing relationships with groups and influencers. So I'm happy to say that just in the last couple of months, our effort has already started to show some really good results and improvement in the Chinese market. Just 2 weeks ago, we launched the new Chinese website, and it has been performing really well since. At the same time, we are releasing more content in Chinese on our blog site, and we have been getting really positive feedback from our community. So as you can see on the slide, the information in the blue box is from our website analytics. It shows a big increase in number of visitors and sessions from Chinese users. And now again, this is not just users from China, but users of Chinese language. So they can be from regions like Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan. The figures also show these visitors are really spending time on the website and getting information across multiple pages. And here I really want to give a shout out to our translator, Jonghun, for doing an awesome job translating everything into Chinese so quickly and so well. And also our web developer, Mike, for doing such a beautiful work integrating the Chinese website. I know he's working on integrating more languages, and I'm excited to see those as well very soon. And also, I have to mention that Rob has also been a tremendous help. So Rob had a great interview with a popular crypto group from Singapore. We received really positive feedback from the community after the interview. And then he did a remote live presentation for the Chinese community just last week. It was a very engaging event. Listeners had a lot of great questions. It also helped us learn more about them. So we really appreciate that these two groups reached out to us and then helped us bring closer together to our community, to our Chinese users. So for anyone out there listening, if you have an audience and you would like to connect with ZenCash, please reach out and let us know. We would really love to hear from you. I just mentioned just now, it's important for us to customize our approach to connect with our communities. So in order to do that, we need to get to know our communities, and we want to get to know our communities and make meaningful connections. So as example, we have started a community survey that we received really awesome feedback from our community in China, Chinese users. And then it has really helped us gain a better understanding and insight of the Chinese market. So we are very grateful for all the people who participated in the survey and really spent time in responding to us. So again, we are growing and expanding. We are expanding our presence on social media. Meanwhile, if you are Chinese users, please join our community group on WeChat. That's all from me.
Well, Lucy, that was some amazing updates there. Thank you very much. And so we've got the Mexican market update. So I believe Angie and Ruben are on the road today going to Guadalajara. So they're going there. They're spreading the word of ZenCash on the ground, networking, meeting new people inside the Mexico cryptocurrency space, and just raising awareness in a big city. So they're starting to do work there from Monterrey to Guadalajara. And so some other updates from them. The Spanish website translation is done, ready to rock. That's good news. And planning to attend Block Spot in Sao Paulo as part of the Latin American ZenCash Tour in the second quarter of this year, with more information to be forthcoming. and currently working on some cool strategies and future integrations with some Latin American partners, looking at some different markets there. So last but not least, we've got our Kenya and Africa market update. Hugh, are you available to give that yourself? Okay, well, if I see you here, if your mic becomes available, you can hop right in. But otherwise, so Hugh will be attending the Meta event in Nairobi on the 4th of May, which is TechLex 101. So it's law and blockchain. So what I love about what Hugh's doing is he's focusing on the academic angle and getting us some really good exposure in the academic and business worlds there. So looking at potential partnership with Andala, Kenya. I wish his mic was working to speak a little bit more of that. And attending the Financial Technovation Summit. That's on the 12th of April, and that'll be at the Radisson Blu in Nairobi. And currently working on strategies and future integrations for the East Africa markets, especially after the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area. So this is actually a very good market for us to be in particular because of M-Pesa, which is a wonderful technology that's actually been used for trading cell phone minutes as a form of currency, and this is widely popular there. So it shows that the community there is very open to innovative types of payment systems. So having cryptocurrency enter this type of market, I think, is extremely valuable for us. So he was doing great work there, and I expect more good news to be forthcoming. So guys, that's what we have here. We went a little bit over time because we had just a whole series of really important announcements to make for you guys and big kind of system architecture changes. So why don't we open it up, Rolf, to Q&A, and we can field some questions.
I think that's a great idea. Sorry, I just need to unmute in a couple different places whenever I do that. Hopefully we don't get too much feedback here. Yeah, so if you're on Discord or on the YouTube chat, please throw some questions out there. I think we've addressed a lot of them. Obviously, the roadmap updates are huge, and I completely agree with what you said, that we validated the concept of secure nodes, and to be able to do the additional things with tracking the voting and tracking the secure nodes and stuff like that. The side chains running on more powerful systems, the super nodes, are important. And once we have that two-tiered system in place, that's a side chain that's all distributed, all decentralized, it's going to let us just continue to grow and add more capabilities. That's really exciting. Let's see. Have you had a chance to read through some of the questions? I don't think there's that much. We had a pretty extensive discussion on the presentation. One of the suggestions, sorry, keep going here, was that we show faces. So maybe we can test doing something like a Zoom presentation with video conferencing and live stream that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we can certainly play around with. For sure, but then I have to do my hair before these calls. So.
Me too.
Yeah. So I see. I just want a point of clarification here. So it's already been clarified in the biweekly update chat, but just a foot stomp there. So there will be two separate dedicated reward pools for the node operators. You've got secure nodes; they'll have their own dedicated 10% of block rewards, and then super nodes will have their own dedicated 10% of block rewards. So these are two separate and independent pools.
Yeah, and we're going to work to launch this at the end of May. And then one of the things that we already have a model that works on tracking the different nodes out there and verifying they have staking, the secure node systems, tracking and payment system. I'm not sure that the team is excited about setting up a whole nother parallel system, but that's entirely an option. So we'll work through with the developers and infrastructure team and see what the best way to do that is. Let's see, question. Staking and getting the Zen to vote active and rolled out. No, that's not active and rolled out. That's one of our big design and development projects with IOHK and InfoPulse, and that's why it was great that Alberto, who is our software architect, who is the manager of all our developers, was out there meeting and discussing with them. And so there's a bit of work to do before we're able to move the governance onto integrated into the wallets, integrated into the system, and things like that. But that's definitely a major thing that we want to do.
So another question on why 500 Zen for Supernode. So this was, so what we wanted was a middle ground. So we've got 42 Zen for secure nodes. Now the Supernodes are going to be running side chains and a whole bunch of additional services and require just more machine power. So we wanted them to have more skin in the game, but we didn't want to make it so onerous like some other staking systems that require 1,000 coins to stake on say like a masternode network. So we wanted some in-between ground. Like so we figured 500 was a pretty good compromise on that.
Let's see. Some of the miners were asking about ASIC resistance. Are we going to have a policy or come to a decision if an ASIC mining company creates an Equihash ASIC? I'm not sure that that's something that we need to decide right now. There's a lot of things that happen with mining over time, and those guys that design dedicated mining machines, whether they're ASICs or FPGAs with external memory or all sorts of different things, they're pretty sharp as well. So fortunately, we don't have to make a decision on whether we would fork the protocol in order to prevent an ASIC miner from operating. I don't know, but that's a whole wider discussion for some of the developers. It's automatic. We don't want ASIC miners taking over things. As a miner, I run a lot of ASIC miners, and I think they're great. So I don't know. There's a lot of different people that look in on this discussion and have different opinions. So that's something we can talk about, and we don't have to make a decision on right now.
Okay, another question here about Supernodes being available in May. So actually, what I meant there was, so the hard fork that will change the block reward will be at the end of May. So what we're targeting is a pre-registration of Supernodes, with the details of that pre-registration system will be released in the white paper next week. But what we're thinking is some partial node rewards for the pre-registered nodes starting in June would be the time frame for that. So this would not be the full Supernode system. So you would not get the full Supernode reward. This would be a sort of a pre-registration with potentially an incentive mechanism to try to smooth out the deployment of this new tiered node network. So that's the whole motivation for it.
Let's see, we had a question about, with all the changes, are we thinking about doing a rebrand? I don't know, we hadn't talked about doing a rebrand, gosh, since, I don't know, last September or October. We certainly have continued to progress and change. Maybe that's something that we should start talking about again.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thought. So appreciate the community coming forward with that.
Let's see. Are there sizes of supernodes determined yet? Just some quick high-end specs. It's hard to have any kind of system that says, well, you need to have 4 processor cores or 8 processor cores, and especially with people using Linux containers as opposed to virtualization and stuff like that. However, what we expect is that there's going to be a performance-based recommendation, and then over time, there's going to be quite a bit of storage required as the calculation and speed requirements of supernodes are pushed by the different sidechain applications that are running on them.
Okay, there's a question of whether or not the supernode stake would be reduced in the future when the price of Zen is higher. So what we hope to do is we want to move away from, or we want to move towards a DAO system where the community can directly make these types of decisions. So our perspective now is we'll make some decisions now, but we don't want to be making kind of like a lot of changes going forward. What we want is we want to set the stage so that the DAO could actually have the community making these types of things. So if my intention would be to keep the supernode stake the way it is until we have the community has a direct way to influence it.
Let's see. Is there going to be Zen stuff available to be purchased? Shirts, hats, mugs, you know, wine bottle openers, that kind of stuff. I know that we're actively working on a store that's going to be available to people all around the world. You know, maybe Rosario can answer that more specifically as to where we're at on that. But it's there's a lot of things that go into that to do it right, so that when it's launched, it succeeds. So just like with everything else, it takes time to get things done.
And it takes resources. So we're at a stage now where we're doing so many things. We need to actually rack and stack and do them in the order that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. And as we've seen with the price swings over the last few months, it was very easy for folks in the community to say, wow, you've got so much funding. Why aren't you spending it all? And we're like, well, we're having a conservative approach as we grow. And that conservative approach turned out to be a good one. So we're you know, we're still in a position that you know, we may not be going to as many conferences right now, or spending funds on large amounts of advertising, but you know, we have the ability to continue moving our development and support forward.
And there's a point of clarification from Mac where the wiki is actually going live tomorrow. So I mentioned it was live now. So hold your horses for a day, and you'll see the cool stuff.
And before we head off, I just added the store.zencash.com, and you can go in there and add your email address to be notified when we go live.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much, Rosario. Cool. Ralph, do we have anything else?
I don't see any more questions unless we've missed some. And oh, we got a personal question here. So yes, we are getting paid. Do we get paid in Zen or US dollars? Do you want to address that one? Just because somebody asked a question doesn't mean it has to be answered, but it could be because we're here with radical transparency, and we're getting ready to publish how everything is being spent in what different categories. We could probably answer that.
Yeah, sure. So we get paid in Zen. So we actually have like a two-tiered comp structure, and that's, we have a base pay that's US dollar denominated, but generally paid in Zen. So we also have a bonus pool allocation, which when times are good, we have the intent of issuing, but times are not exactly all that prosperous for the cryptocurrency community right now. So the team's working on base pay that's very much market oriented. What we did was we actually did some deep dive surveys into labor categories for our team members and what market rates are for these labor categories given experience. And we actually set up base pay to be actually lower than market rates, because the expectation was we're run like a startup right now, where if we do well, we'll have this bonus system that pays bonuses in Zen, which is actually 20% of the reward pool for Treasury is actually allocated for team bonuses. And we have not issued a bonus yet because we have to be conservative in a market downturn. But this is the way that if we're successful, we want the team members to be successful. Right now, they're actually being underpaid relative to the market. So that's where we are right now. And I don't think we want to go into any more detail in terms of individuals with privacy concerns. But we do have, like Ralph mentioned, we're going to be publicly, or developing publicly facing software or a system so you can see where all of the Treasury funds are going. But just to kind of assuage concerns, all of our comp is actually market oriented with actually decrements, because we are a startup and we have some kind of upside bonuses reserved for the team if we do well.
Yeah, and we are hiring professionals to do this. So one of our accountant started last month, and he's going through and doing a lot of things that accountants and bookkeepers do. And one of those is putting together a listing of all the funds that were spent, so we can get that and then publish it. Okay, last chance on typing in questions on the YouTube or on the Discord. Let's see. people, if they want to join and help and bring ZenCash to their communities, you know, I was thinking about that because there's lots of different meetups, and it's great for people to be able to start meetups, and that's certainly one of the things that we want to do. One of the places to discuss that is in the Discord, on the forum, and things like that. But one of the things we may want to look at is making an easy, I don't know, not like a publicity package, but a meetup package. Like, you know, if you're going to run a meetup and tell people about ZenCash, you know, here's what you want to talk about, here's a presentation, here's how you do a demo of sending and receiving funds, here's how to answer some common questions and things like that. Our forum website was down for a little bit. It is back up and running at forum.zencash.com. We did lose a couple of weeks, but we were able to restore from backup. So that's a great place to do community-based proposals where people can discuss them and not have stuff roll off on the Discord and stuff like that. That's what we got so far. Rob? Want to wrap it up?
No, thank you, Rolf. Yeah, I think that was great, and thank you for everyone to chime in, especially with the good questions and suggestions. As always, we're working really hard for the community, and it's awesome to have the community participation. So stay tuned, and we'll do another one of these in 2 weeks. So thanks very much, and that's a wrap.
Thanks.